For players starting out, Luke, have you got any decent practice techniques they could pick up on?
Yeah, I think for me though, the practice regimes I use probably wouldn't benefit an amateur player. But there is certain ways, like around the board's a good one. I think if you're just aiming for them, normal single numbers, the ones, the twos, the threes, and then you sort of go the way round, and then you notice yourself sort of getting a little bit better. I feel like then you can move on to the doubles, so you're going around the board on the doubles.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think just aiming for sort of bigger segments and just trying to group when you're starting out was a good starting point, and a good way just to feel a bit loose, I guess.
Yeah, I also think it's important that you don't. No, I do get a lot of messages from people asking, how can I get better? Is there any practice regimes? I think the best thing to do is just practicing on the dartboard itself. I think if you're trying to just hit 180s all the time, it's kind of hard when you're starting out. I think, like we've said, if you just do them sort of start-up games, single numbers, and then you move on to the doubles, and then you move on to the trebles, I think that was a slow way to get yourself into a good rhythm.
Okay, Luke, we've gone through the practice technique. Once you've sorted that grouping out, hitting big numbers, what's the next step to improve your game?
Well, I think the main thing about darts is checking out. So I think the next step would be maybe around the board, checking out on the doubles. You start at double one, double two, double three, and you go around the whole way to double top. And then if you're perfecting that, I think then it's time to start taking out combination finishes. So maybe start on 41, then you've got to go single one, double top, then you go to 42, 43, and see how far you can get, to be honest. I think I've done it before, 41 to 170. It does take a long time. So if you notice yourself sort of going from 41 to say 65, and then the next week you're doing 41 to 75, then you'll notice the progression in your game by doing them checkouts.
Luke, talk to us about your practice routines. What do you do to fine-tune your game for a big tournament?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, my scoring's usually pretty decent, so I think for me it's the finishing, and I think that's something that's helped me prove to the world of being one of the best dart players in the world is finishing.
And it's two more vital points for Luke Humphries, this back-to-back wins over...
I've been doing 1-2-1 in 6 darts. When I first started, I used to do 1-2-1 in 9. Now I do it in 6, and then you go up in one segment each time. So you start off on 1-2-1, then you go to 1-2-2, then 1-2-3, etc. to 170, and you only give yourself 6 darts to take it. I think that's what separates you from being at the top, is to take out them big finishes when you need to. So that's the practice regimes I tend to stick to, and helps my finishing.
Do you go back as well if you miss?
I do if I miss 2 on the trot. So if I miss 2, I'll go back 1. But there is times where I've done it where you go back 10 if you miss 2 on the trot, which takes a long time then.
I'd be there all day, man.